Have you ever tapped your phone to pay for coffee and wondered how we got here? From gold coins to digital code, the story of banking is more epic than you might think. Let's rewind the clock and uncover the incredible evolution of banking, from ancient temples to the apps on your phone. Our journey begins thousands of years ago, way back in ancient Mesopotamia, around 2000 BC. Believe it or not, the first banks weren't buildings with vaults, they were temples. People trusted priests, so they would deposit their grain, cattle, and precious metals at the temple for safekeeping. The priests kept detailed records on clay tablets, the world's first ledgers. They even gave out loans. If you were a farmer needing seed for the next harvest, you could borrow it from the temple and pay it back with interest after you sold your crops. It was a simple system based on trust and community, laying the very first stones for the financial world we know today. Now, let's jump forward to ancient Greece and Rome. The Greeks took things up a notch. Private moneylenders and public officials began operating from tables in the marketplace. The Greek word for table was trapeza, which is where we get the word trapezite, meaning banker. These early bankers not only accepted deposits and gave loans, but also started exchanging different currencies for merchants traveling between city-states. The Romans, being the master organizers they were, formalized this system. They established laws and regulations around banking, making it a more structured and official profession. The Roman Empire's vast network of trade routes meant that finance had to be reliable and standardized. They were essentially creating the blueprint for a large-scale banking network. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe entered the Middle Ages, and international trade slowed down. But banking didn't disappear, it just changed its form. Religious institutions continued to play a role, and powerful families started to emerge as the new financial powerhouses. This brings us to Renaissance Italy, specifically to cities like Florence, Venice, and Genoa. This is where modern banking truly began to take shape. Families like the Medici in Florence became incredibly powerful. Not as rulers, but as bankers to kings, popes, and merchants across Europe. They introduced double-entry bookkeeping, a revolutionary system that tracked debits and credits, giving a clear picture of financial health. They also created the bill of exchange, a precursor to the modern check, which allowed merchants to pay for goods without carrying heavy bags of gold. It was a game-changer for international trade. As Europe's empires expanded across the globe during the Age of Discovery, so did their banking systems. The first state-chartered banks emerged, like the Bank of Amsterdam in 1609 and the Bank of England in 1694. These central banks had a crucial new role, issuing standardized paper currency. Before this, you had countless types of coins floating around. Now, you had official banknotes backed by the government. This made commerce much simpler and more stable. It was a huge step towards the monetary systems we have today. The idea was to create a stable financial backbone for growing nations, funding everything from trade expeditions to government projects. The 18th and 19th centuries brought the Industrial Revolution, and banking had to evolve again and fast. Factories needed massive amounts of capital to build machines and pay workers. This led to the rise of commercial and investment banks. Think of the classic image of a banker from this era in a suit, in a grand marble hall. These banks were financing the railroads, factories, and innovations that were changing the world. In the United States, figures like J.P. Morgan wielded immense power, orchestrating mergers and financing entire industries. This period also saw the establishment of more robust national banking systems and regulations to prevent financial panics, which were common at the time. Banking was no longer just about safekeeping and loans. It was about fueling economic growth on an unprecedented scale. The 20th century was a whirlwind of change. The Great Depression in the 1930s was a harsh lesson, leading to major reforms, like deposit insurance to protect people's savings and stricter regulations to separate commercial and investment banking. Then, after World War II, the world saw a boom in consumer banking. For the first time, banking wasn't just for the wealthy or for businesses. Mortgages, car loans, and personal credit became accessible to the average family, fueling the growth of the middle class and suburban life. The credit card, introduced in the 1950s, was a revolutionary concept, allowing people to buy now, pay later. And then came the technology. In the 1960s, the first ATMs appeared, freeing people from the constraint of banking hours. You could finally get cash on a Sunday, and that brings us to the digital age. The internet boom of the late 90s and early 2000s changed everything. Suddenly, you could check your balance, transfer money, and pay bills from your home computer. This was online banking, and it was just the beginning. The real revolution, however, came with the smartphone. The device in your pocket became your bank branch. Mobile banking apps put incredible power at our fingertips. We can deposit checks by taking a picture, send money to friends instantly, apply for loans, and even invest in the stock market, all with a few taps. New fintech companies are challenging traditional banks, offering innovative, user-friendly services that are completely digital. We've moved from clay tablets to cloud servers. So, what's next? The future of banking is already here. We're looking at things like artificial intelligence, providing personalized financial advice, blockchain technology, making transactions more secure and transparent, and the potential rise of central bank digital currencies. The core principles, however, remain the same as they were in those ancient temples: trust, security, and facilitating the flow of value. From a priest recording a grain deposit to an AI analyzing your spending habits, the goal is to help us manage our resources. The journey has been incredible, and it's far from over. The next time you tap to pay, take a moment to appreciate the thousands of years of history and innovation that made that simple act possible. Thanks so much for joining me on this historical journey through the world of banking. It's a fascinating story that affects all of us every single day. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the topics that shape our world. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.